Hey folks, how you doing? On this episode, I'm just talking about guns, what you do for preparation for hunting. I'm at the range right now. The range that I use is out in a dead-end dirt road. A dead-end road of a dirt road of a dirt road. You know what I mean? So it's safe, and there's a backstop behind it. It's a higher bank. It's all grown in, but it's still a higher bank. I don't like my bullets traveling into the woods when I don't know there's something there, so I always try to make sure there's a good safe backstop. Just to be safe. You don't want to wound or hurt anything that's out there that you don't even know anything about. I have a spot and scope. I'll show you in a second. This year decided I'm going to use my this is my Browning X Bolt 308. I'm going to use that this year. Last year I shot my big buck with a 7mm Remington Magnum, the Christensen Arms rifle. And I also have my 30-30 Marlin 336 I want to shoot just to see how it does here, and I'll use that for closer range shooting. That's one thing I want to kind of emphasize when I hunt. I try and use something for the task at estimated range that I'm going to use. My girl Sammy here. Good girl. What I mean by that is a 30-30. If I'm going to shoot within 100-150 yards and it's kind of in the woods, I'm going to use a 30-30 lever action, and I'll show you that in a second as well. If I got an area where I get probably 200-300 yards, 350, I'll use my 308. That's just for a little bit longer range areas. And then obviously if I'm somewhere 500 yards or so, and I don't even like to shoot that far, but then I'll use a 7mm Remington Magnum. That's where I shot that buck. I had a good amount of range there, 400 or 500 yards I think there was, but I also knew that there was that trail coming out at about roughly 100 yards, and that's where luckily that buck come right out, and the 7mm dropped it fine. I did shoot a small buck with this 308 up in KI. I think it was a spike horn actually. Quite a few years ago with it, but it's a nice light rifle. That's one thing I also, again, especially if I'm going to walk anywhere with my crutches, I can't have anything too heavy. That 7mm has a heavy barrel on it, and it's made for target range shooting or sitting. That's why I use it in the truck when I'm not going to walk anywhere. So that's something you want to consider. If you're going to do a lot of walking, then you want a lighter rifle such as that, or the 30-30, the lever action if you're got closer range. But I always try to pick the rifle to the area that I'm hunting. Just you don't need to have something that's to shoot 5 miles if you're only shooting 100 yards. I mean, what's the sense? Bullet design is also something to do with that as well. Certain bullets work better at closer range. Certain bullets work better at further range. So you got to also know what kind of bullets you got. The bullets I got right today for this are both Hornady. I shot the GMX right there. Those are 165 grains. This is what I shot my deer with, and I think this is what I sighted the rifle in with. But I also have some 308 165 grain SSTs. And I believe the SST is what I shot my buck with the 7mm Remington Magnum, and that did really well too. So I want to shoot probably a group of 3 each one of these, and see how that shoots. See which one, maybe one shoots a little bit better on that gun. That's the other thing you got to pay attention to. If you got a gun and you're shooting and it's just not grouping right, getting a 2-inch group, a 3-inch group, change your ammunition before you start messing with other things. Obviously, tighten up all the screws, make sure your base plate on your gun is all tightened, all that stuff. Take that out of consideration first, so make sure that's all snug. But don't just get rid of that gun thinking it just can't shoot. You try different bullet weights, and different bullet weights even by a manufacturer, because everybody uses a different kind of primer, it has different kind of powder, it uses different kind of bullets, and every one of those things, depending on your rifle, may make a big difference. And I've had plenty of, I've had a couple guns that I just weren't satisfied with the way it was shooting, and you just tried a different box of ammunition, even the same weight, with just a different bullet, and it shoots fine. So don't put your gun, back to the gun shop to get rid of until you try all those things out, because it may be just as simple as changing a box of ammunition. I'll show you what I got out here. I got my spotting scope. I've got the spotting scope, and I got a 100-yard target way down there. It's all set up. It's actually just shy of 100 yards. I got some targets right here. I'll show you. These are the kind of targets I like to use. Yeah, right there. These are what I like to use because they're already got the 1-inch squares on them. So at 100 yards, your gun is supposed to be able, and if it has a 1/4 minute of angle on the scope, it'll take 4 clicks to go an inch. Whether you're going up an inch or down an inch, it's just 4 clicks. If you get closer range, then you got to dial it. Let's say at 50 yards. If you go at 50 yards, it would be 8 clicks to go an inch. And if you're at 25 yards, you got to double that again. It'll be 16 clicks to go an inch. So, but also, if you go 200 yards, it'll take 2 clicks to go an inch. So it, kind of doubles that way as a target. And these are nice targets. I like to shoot in the center first, run on group, and then I can go to the corners with some ammunition too to see how the groups are on it. But this is what I use. Works really well. Also, headphones, very smart. When I was younger, I never wore headphones, just shot the gun, and I think my hearing suffered for that. I used to go partridge hunting after that with my brother. He'd hear the birds everywhere, getting ready, how they flutter and thump and take off. I didn't hear anything. So obviously, shooting too many guns and also listening to too loud of music and all that other stuff. Protect your hearing. Always wear some kind of a hearing protection when you're shooting. And also, I bring a laser rangefinder. This is a Leopold. It works really well. I've had this for quite a few years, and it's invaluable to have a rangefinder. So you do your range, know what you're shooting at with your range. That way your ballistics are accurate. Most of the boxes of ammunition now will have ballistics right on the box. It tells you what this gun should shoot. So that this will shoot. These are 165 grain SSTs for 308. It says it'll get 2840, 2,840 feet per second out of the muzzle. That's if you're shooting it. It'll shoot 1.8 inches high at 100 for 0 at 200. But I'm just shooting mine at 100 yards. These ones are the GMX. These ones shoot 2,750 feet per second. So these are about 100 feet per second slower. So these ones, same weight, 1.9 high at 100 to be 200 dead on. So the SSTs shoot just a little bit flatter. So these use Superformance. Well, they both say Superformance. Superformance is really a kind of powder. I'm getting into I'm getting into reloading myself, and I have some Superformance powder for my 6.5 Creedmoor. And so that's what they're using for those. And the GMX is a brand of Hornady's bullet, and so is the SST is a brand of the Hornady makes that bullet. So that's one thing that you find out when you look on your box of ammunition. A lot of times they'll tell you it's shooting a Sierra boat tail bullet, and it'll tell you the weight of the bullet, and then a lot of times it'll tell you the speed and it's going, and sometimes it'll even tell you Superformance what kind of gunpowder it's using. I'm getting ready to shoot the rifle now, and another thing you want to do when you are sighting your rifle, once you got it on paper and stuff, this has already been sighted in, so it should be on paper fine, unless it has some kind of disturbance. It shouldn't have, but you want to have your scope zoomed up as high power as it'll have. This is a 3 to 9, so I got it high as 9. It's a Leopold Vari X3, very good scope, and it's great. It's just got the simple crosshairs on it. wide outside and then it thins off into the middle. It's not my favorite. It's probably second favorite. The ones I like better are on my 7mm and also my Creedmoor. They're same as that. It's thick to skinny and thick to skinny, but then just nothing but a skinny for the center top, or even sometimes it doesn't even have one. I do have a illuminated reticle, illuminated dot. That was my preference, to have the illuminated dot with just the 3 posts. That one works great because you see without that center part going up, it just, for some reason my eyes prefer that when I'm trying to see animals. You get to see more in the picture and you don't have that big crosshair in the way, or especially the ones with all the range finding capabilities with all the kind of little hash marks and stuff. It just gets too cluttered for me, especially when you're hunting. That's what I like to use. Fire in the hole. High and right, but I'm gonna shoot 3 to make sure that wasn't me. Okay, I'm good. Okay. Good girl. Good girl. Yep, those had 2 shots pretty close together, and the first one was high and right. That was with a, barrel, probably had oil and stuff in it. I should be doing that. Should be cleaning it before I shoot. I keep forgetting to do that, but I should. I should run a snake through it. Probably a good suggestion for anybody if you've got your gun in storage for the winter or whatever, and you keep a little bit of oil in it. It's good to run a bore snake or something through that just before you start shooting to get that lubrication out of there. So I am just a slight bit to the right, only about, I don't know, 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch. And those 2 shots are pretty close grouping. So I think I'm gonna, I'll adjust that scope. I'm gonna adjust the scope to the left, and then I'll take 1 more shot. And if that's going good, then I'm gonna try the other ammunition. Here's where the first shot was, right up there. So I shot it again after shot here, and there's a 3-shot group there. So I decided to adjust it to the left a little bit. First shot went over there, and I flinched way over here. I was pulling the scope up and it went off before I was ready for it. So that was my fault. Second shot was right there. So I just moved it over another 1 click back over, because I was shooting, from here over to there, and there's just 2 clicks. So I brought it 1 back. It should be right in here somewhere. But I'm gonna try the other bullets. Those are GMXs. I'm gonna try the SSTs now. I'm gonna put on a new target because I like these. I like lining my crosshairs up with those. When these, you don't have it, so it's not quite as easy. I like to try and line it up that way as well as in there. Aim small, miss small, as they say. I'm gonna take this target off and put up a new one. Let that barrel cool down before I try that other ammunition out. I don't think I have a boar snake. Usually I have a boar snake with me, but I was cleaning everything out of my cases, and I think I've kept them all in. I'll look in a second though. But one thing I do suggest, what I do it's the quickest way to catch on an animal. If you're really good with your ballistics and you're good with range finding, that may be something else for someone else, but I'm not that great with that stuff, having to calculate on the fly like that. So what I always do, I'll sight my rifle in at 100 yards, then I'll look at the ballistics for the ammunition, and then know what the drop is. If you're sighted at 100, then at 200 it's 2 inches low. So then what I would do is I'd estimate what 2 inches is on a deer and aim up to drop that way. It's a lot faster for me. Just knowing your ballistics of your ammunition that you're using, pay attention to that, and then aim accordingly, because you can just do that on the fly without having to stop, a dial anything, adjust anything, do any mathematics in your brain or grab your cell phone and calculate. You don't have to do any of that. And when you're deer hunting, especially in Maine, when it's really thick, you might have seconds to take a shot. you know, and I mean 1, 2, 3 seconds, not 10, 20 seconds. You're in thick cover, and sometimes you're just crossing a skidder trail or over the road or in a little tiny, you know, they don't come out very, you know, someplace most time where I hunt. So I need to understand my ballistics, and I adjust as quickly as I can by just, you know, knowing roughly how thick a deer is. And if you're aiming for that, you know, the center of the heart lung area, 2 inches higher, 2 inches lower. I shot a deer. The furthest I ever shot one was 456 yards away. I was using a 270 WSM. And I knew the ballistics on that gun. And that deer was quite a ways out there, but I had a little breeze, so I knew I had to aim into the wind. And I knew what the drop was on that. And I sort of brought that over its shoulder, maybe 2 inches, and I squeezed off the shot, and I got that deer's nice 6-pointer, 176 pounds, I think that one was. It was a nice deer. But, you know, I don't suggest doing that if you don't know your ballistics. You need to pay attention and learn your ballistics of your gun. The other thing I'm realizing with this gun, I haven't shot it in a while, but that trigger is a little harder than I like. It's a little stiff. I should probably try and figure out how to loosen that up, because this my Marlin 336 3030 I have is an excellent trigger, probably down to 2 pounds or so. And same with my Christensen Arms, that 7mm Remington Magnum. That has a Trigger Tech trigger in it, and it's perfect. But this one's a little stiff, so I might have to do some research and see how I can loosen that up a little bit. It's probably about 4 pounds right now. You gotta give it a little, not tug, but you're pulling it, you're holding it, trying to let it go up and hold that steady. And that's the one thing that's hard to do. If you got a trigger that's hard to pull, probably anything over 4 pounds, you know, 4 pounds is heavy. Anything over that, and it's just you're pulling yourself off just to try and get the trigger to break. So ideally, probably around 2.5, 3 pounds. And pay attention to it and understand it and realize how it breaks. Does it have any creep before it goes, or does it just let go? It's one of the hardest things to do is learn how to manage your trigger pull and understand which gun and how it feels when it's pulling that trigger when it breaks. So that's one reason why they say practice shooting your gun before deer season, so you know how it's going to go, know how that trigger is going to break on you, so you can make an accurate shot. That's one responsibility of hunters, I believe, more than anything, is make a humane shot at an animal, most ethical shot you can make, and, you know, least amount of pain. You know, take the animal out cleanly. Drives me nuts sometimes. I watch a lot of people who, you know, do some tracking out in the big Maine woods using 30-06s and 308s and semi-automatics and pumps, and they're just flinging the bullets after something that's running through the woods. You know, it just drives me nuts to see that. To me, that's not being accurate or responsible, because you don't know what's behind that bullet and behind the deer that you're shooting at that you're missing. Could be another person, another animal, whatever. You know, 30-06 can shoot long ways, so it's just safe. You know, the older I get, the more safe I'm becoming, or understanding I should be anyway. And just to watch that at one time, I would go out there and blast away trying to get something I understand. You know, you get all hyped up and you're excited and you're trying to get something that's really hard to do the job. But to just spray bullets is not safe in my eyes. Not at all. Sorry if I hurt anybody's feelings, but that's how I feel about it. Here's the SSTs I'm using. 308. The rifle seems to like these better. The GMX are not far off, but it does seem to like the SSTs better. I was letting that barrel cool down. I'm going to fire one more shot. Had two pretty close to each other, and the third one was a flyer off a little bit. I'm still not used to that trigger. I have to adjust it. Just takes all it takes is just a tiny little bit of movement. You see this wheelchair, there's a rock right where my front tire is, and sometimes it catches and sometimes it tries to roll back just as I'm squeezing the trigger. There's always something. Can't wait to get my camp target range all straightened out and flat and leveled. And I'm debating, I either have a nice heavy bench or even a cement bench. That way it's solid and ain't gonna move, and have an adjustable chair. That way, depending on who's shooting, height is a problem. That's why I decided to use the tailgate of the truck. as opposed to that table I have, because I have a table, but the table is just a little bit too low, so you feel like you're waning way over trying to shoot, and that's uncomfortable. But the problem with a vehicle, if it's windy at all, the wind will catch the truck like a sail and just move it just a tiny bit while you're trying to shoot, and you can feel it, you can see it. And the wind's starting to pick up a little bit, and I can, every once in a while, plus Sam's in the back, once in a while she'll move just as I'm trying to shoot. But it is what it is. I'm out here shooting, get some trigger time in. And one thing I gotta emphasize as well, let you know, again, these are videos for, you know, amateurs, people who haven't done this or just trying to learn a little bit more or remember. You know, a lot of times you forget things. But your bullets will shoot faster in hotter weather than they will in the colder weather. So it's always good to try and shoot your gun that you're going to hunt with as close to the temperature that you plan on hunting as possible. It's a cool day today. It was down in the 40s last night, low 40s. It's probably in the 50s here now. It might be 60, but the beginning part of deer season, you'll have these temperatures, but closer to the end of it, it's going to get colder. So your bullet will not, your bullet will be lower, hit lower than it will on a warmer day. Not by a lot, but it will. Your powder burns faster in hotter weather. Simple as that. If it burns faster, you're going to get more velocity downrange, and that'll keep your, you know, a flatter trajectory. So I'm going to take one more shot here, and I think I'm going to go with the 30-30 and see how she is, and I'll show you what the old lever action looks like. Here is the target with the SSTs. They shot a little bit better. This was my first shot. That was my second shot. Pulled a flyer. There's the third shot. So that's not too bad. That was definitely a flyer. I bring the gun down and the trigger went off before I even had it squared off. That was my fault. I just trying to find a way to get comfortable with shooting that. But that's shooting a lot better than the GMXs, I think they are. So we'll probably use the SSTs for hunting season. And this is a good lesson to learn shooting. Just try different ammunition and you'll find out that some just plain old shoots better out of your gun. And those are both 165 grain bullets. Just one's an SST, one's a GMX. Here's a little thing for you too as well. When you're closing your bolt, especially for you know, long storage and stuff, it's good to bring the bolt all the way up, hold your trigger down, pull the trigger, and close that off. That way it's actually, it allows that spring in your trigger for your firing pin to close. That way you're not compressing that spring the whole time, so it's you know, weakens that spring over time. It's a good way when you're storing your gun. I always hold that trigger when you close that bolt. You can feel it release. It's not going to snap or anything, but you feel it release. It takes that tension off your spring for your trigger to help save your spring in your bolt for quite a while. This is the X bolt, 308. Very nice rifle. Got the Leopold. I got the CDS top on here, which you tell Leopold what kind of ammunition you're shooting with temperature and elevation and all that, and what you sight it in at. These ones are 308, 168, 165 bolt tail soft points, 2,700 feet per second, elevation of 246 feet. And 45 Fahrenheit temperature wise. So you're giving it an estimate at what the temperature would be during deer season. And that way you can adjust that. Like it's set right now at 100 yards, it's 1. So if you see something out to 200, you just dial that to 2, and you should be right on at 200 yards, up and down wise. You still may have to compensate for wind if there is any, but for elevation, that should be, that cap now is dialed right in for that kind of ammunition. So comes in handy, but I've never used it yet. I haven't seen anything that far away. And the deer I shot with this was probably between 80 and 100 yards, and it didn't go very far. But I'll get the old lever action out now and show you that. All right, here is my Marlin 336. I refinished this all myself. redid the wood really nice, and then I got some wood wax on there too to keep it waterproof, and I put this finish on there myself. This is a nice hawk scope. Problem with this scope for this range is only 2 to 4 power, and that's 100 yards down there. So I don't know how good my eyes are going to do with that. But I thought I sighted this in for 50 yards. I can't remember, honestly. My first gun I ever shot a deer with was a Winchester Model 94 and a 30-30. And I had one for a while, but I gave it to my nephew because he wanted a lever action. And I needed something with a scope on it anyway. And the Marlins are a lot easier to put a scope on than the Winchesters are. So this is what I got. This was in pretty rough shape when I bought it. I got it for like 300 bucks. She was pretty scratched up and beat up, and I did redid it. Seals really well. This is a great scope for, like I said, within 100 yards. You're just in the thick woods. It does have a little illuminated dot in it as well, so it's perfect. You know, you wouldn't call it. I mean, people call them brush guns, but that don't mean you can shoot in the brush. That means you're hunting in the brush. That means, you know, where it's close range, not too far, and you don't need to have something that's, you know, going to kill a bull elephant when you only got a 100-yard shot. 30-30 has plenty of power for that range. I got two different boxes of ammunition here. Let me see. I think I sighted it in with these. These are Federals, 170 grain, boat tail saw points. I don't think it gives you. It does. These ones, velocity is 2,200 feet per second out of the muzzle, 1,950 at 100 yards, which still has 1,435 foot-pounds of energy, so that's plenty of energy at 100 yards. It still has 1,115 at 200 yards, but, you know, the drop is quite off. Well, it's saying here, minus 7.7 inches at 200 yards if you're sighting it at 100. So that's, like I told you before, how if I see something that's far away, if I already know it's sighted at 100, I know it's nearly 8 inches low at 200, so you want to aim high. 8 inches, you'd probably be right on the crest of its back. They'd give you right down in the boiler room, you know, with the drop if you took that shot. But yeah, I got these. These are 170 grains, and I got some other ones I want to try. You can't tell, I like Hornady quite a bit. And these are the 160 grain FTXs. These are the soft point tip for 30-30. And let's see, these ones are 2,400 feet per second. So these are 200 feet per second faster. And these, they say, sighted these ones in the 200 yards, so it's 3 inches high at 100, and it's 12.5 inches at 300. I would never shoot. I'd shoot a 30-30 comfortably out to 200 yards and feel I have enough energy to shoot a deer. I wouldn't go any further than that. You can do it. People have done it, I'm sure. But I like to have over 1,000 foot-pounds of energy for a deer. And that I think would be fine. This doesn't tell you the foot-pounds of energy these have, so, but I'm sure it's comparable to these ones. So I'm going to shoot the Federals first. Again, this is Federal Fusions, 30-30s, bonded soft point bullets, 170 grain. And these are the Hornady 160 grain FTXs. One thing I do like, I've never felt a lever action trigger as good as this one. This one is as smooth, way better than the Brownings. Somebody must have done some trigger work to it, so I've shot a lot of lever actions and never felt as smooth and crisp. And like a 2 pounds, that's all it's got on that. It's an awesome trigger. I don't know how or who did it, but it's awesome. It's just about as good as my trigger tech on my Christensen Arms rifle. But I don't know how good I'm going to do. Again, it's only going to go up to 4 power, so my eyes are getting bad. We'll give it a shot. I got a clean target down there. I'll take that 30-30 for a shot now. And this Hawk does have the nice scope that I like on it, where it's got the 3 fatter ones and the skinny post with a illuminated dot in the center. That scope's only 4 power, so I can't tell where it hit. So I gotta look at the spotting scope. A little high and left. We'll see what the next shot does. All right, I just shot those Fusion 170s out of 30-30, and they're all shooting a little high. But I'm gonna shoot the other ones, the Hornady 160s first, and see what those shoot. I'm having a feeling they'll shoot better. Had one flyer on the 30-30, so I took a second shot, and they're all within an inch, inch and a half, so it's not bad at 100 yards, but they're a little high. So I'm gonna shoot those other Hornadies and see what they do before I start adjusting the scope at all. I'm gonna go up there and put a new target up. Okay, there's my shots with the Fusion 30-30s. That was a flyer that I called. That was my second. There's, what was it? One, let's see here. 1, 2 right there. That was a flyer, and there's the third shot. Really concentrated hard on that last shot and tried not to move anything. It's only a 4 power, so it's got a dot in the center, so you gotta really concentrate on that. Keep it there. But it's shooting all right. I'm gonna try the other bullets and see if those group any better. I'll put in a new target for those. All right, the last few shots I'm gonna take was with these 30-30 lever evolution ammunition and 160 grain. The FTXs 30-30. They're 10 grains less weight than the ones I just shot, but we'll see how she goes. There's a little rubber tipped on them for 30-30. Should fly well. We'll see how she goes. They're also made so supposedly you can put them in a tubular magazine and they won't punch the next primer during recoil and fire off the next round inside the tube. That's a good thing. One thing I want to key in on when you're target practicing, when you're shooting, is a famous saying that they've said for quite a while, and it just takes practice to get it right. It's aim small, miss small. Don't just aim for the body of the deer, general area, and then shoot. Same thing with the target. My pulled shot was when I was just bringing it down, into that diamond. The problem is that dot is half the size of that diamond when you bring it in there. And I let it go too early, and it was off. That was my fault. I take full responsibility for that. You need to aim small, miss small is a very good thing to do. Take your time, aim for a tiny spot on that target, trying to get it perfectly centered in the dot, not just ballpark it and squeeze it, because that can be off by quite a bit. Same with a deer. When you see a deer, don't just aim for the center mass and squeeze the trigger. Aim for a specific point on that body. You see a muscle ripple that's near, the vital area that you need to shoot, or a crease, or something that you can key in on the animal to try and just be more accurate with your aim is probably the best thing you can do. I'll put some of these in here and see how these ones do. Barrel should be cool by now. Yep, barrel is cool. Putting the ammunition in. See where that one hit. Can't see it. That 4 power scope. I don't know what happened there. We'll see. Well, I had something very strange has happened. I just shot 3 shots with that lever evolution ammunition. You saw where the Fusion set them right about, just above bullseye. Well, I got 2 holes way off to the very edge of the paper. Big holes, not bullet holes. So I don't know what happened. Looks like the bullets just went tumbling or something. I don't know what happened. I'm going to take one more shot with a Fusion again, just to make sure the scope's not screwed up somehow. Doesn't feel like it's loosened up. I don't know if the kick 30-30 doesn't kick that much, so I don't know. I'm going to take one more shot with the Fusion to see if it hits same way the other ones were going. If not, there's something wrong with those fusions. They're just not shooting right in this gun. But I'm gonna take another shot and see what happens with the fusions. Well, I just shot another fusion just to make sure the scope didn't go off or not, and the scope is still, I mean, it's shooting about an inch high, dead center. Those fusion 170s, those lever evolution 160s. I thought they was gonna do better, but they're not even hitting the target. They're going right off to the edge and making big holes. I'll bring you up there and show you the target. Well, I'll go grab it now. That's strange. I've never had that happen before. That's why it's good to, as I say, take some ammunition, a couple of different boxes, and shoot your guns with it to make sure you know what it shoots better and which it doesn't, because you don't want to be out in the woods just assuming that, you know, it's the same weight, maybe a different manufacturer, but I mean, I'll show you right here. Let me show you the proof. This is in the pudding here. Here's that target. Right over here. Those are where those lever evolutions were going. It's like 2 holes, a big giant hole there, another hole there. So I decided, you know, I'm gonna stop 3 shots, and I decided to shoot the other ammunition one more time just to make sure, and it's right dead nuts, 1 inch high. So those fusions are shooting great, 170s, but the 160 grains are way the hell over there. I'm not even going to use those for anything. That's not safe. I don't know what the heck's going on with those, but that's why it's good to shoot before you go and take a few boxes of ammunition and see what's going to work and what's not, because something like that could happen to you and it's a clean miss on something, or wounding something anyway. You don't want to do that either. So I guess those are trash can bullets for my gun. Well, just to sum things up for this video, you know, there are all kinds of different kinds of rifles. You got the lever actions like this, you got the bolt action like the 308, you have some semi-automatics, you got some pumps, you got single shots. Some people have to or like to hunt with a shotgun with buckshot or slug. Muzzleloaders too. We have muzzleloader season here at the end of the season. I got my first deer ever with muzzleloader last year. A doe, a nice big doe. Pick your poisons. Shoot. You probably should be hunting with what you can shoot the best. Whether that's a 243 or 7mm Remington Magnum. You know, whatever you feel comfortable shooting and you're most comfortable shooting, and it would, you know, you can shoot most accurately. Because our duty as hunters is to take things as cleanly and humanely as possible, and no sense of wounding things or hurting things unnecessarily. Obviously going to kill something, but you're trying to do that as cleanly and as mercilessly as you can. I don't know, a lot of people probably do a lot of shooting. I should shoot more than I do. Problem right now, the cost of ammunition and finding availability of any ammunition. Now I got to find some more of these Federal Fusions, because I like these, and I got some. I mean, I have been shooting, you know, a bit, so I got five bullets left. That should do me for deer season, but I like to have another box of these. These are what this gun likes to shoot, and these lever evolution 160 grain FTXs shoot absolutely horribly in mine. I mean, the elevation this way is close to par with the center of the dot, but it's shooting way left, probably 8 inches, 10 inches, which you know, it's sighted in for the bullseye right now with this ammunition here, the Fusion. So I'm not gonna readjust and see if that'll. I think it just doesn't shoot that well. I'm kind of curious. Putting those rubber tips in there, does it squish the nose or something, or does it bend them in a certain direction? And then once that catches air, does it fly off in that wrong direction? I don't know. But it's always, like I said, it's always good to be sure for deer season. Hope this video helps some people out. Again, I'm not no master or anything like that. This is just my opinion on how I do things, what works for me. And I hope it helps people, you know, trying to get things situated, people who are just learning, or people who are just trying to figure things out. I love shooting though, it's fun. Just takes a lot of practice, and again, it's costly, so I'm trying to get into reloading now. I bought all the equipment. I got everything now to reload for, I had to buy dies. I can only buy one set so far, so I bought some Creedmoor dies, 6.5 Creedmoor. So that'll be the first bullets I'll be reloading. All I got right now that I have a box of for Creedmoor, because I specifically bought the Creedmoor for coyote hunting. So I have 95 grain bullets for it. But I bought 140 grain bullets for it when I start reloading. So that'll be fun. I'll want to do that at camp. Be another thing I can do at camp. I appreciate you all watching, taking the time, and write me any comments. If you guys got any ideas, if you had any problem with the lever evolution ammunition as well for your 30-30 or 45-70 or whatever else they have it for. Fusion is what this one likes. Okay, thanks again. Hope you like the series of the Big Woods hunting secrets. I'm trying to do a little bit of research before I make each one of these, and this one's kind of tricky because I don't want it to be a target shooting video. I just want it to be a knowledge and a generalization of how I do shooting and when you should practice. And you should practice as much as you can. Get to know your weapon very well. Know your trigger. Your trigger is really important. Know how that's going to break for you. And also test some ammunition out, because you might find out same situation that I did today. Thanks again for watching.